Hey everybody, so it's time for a new project and some new content. So no, I am not stopping on the Chevy or giving up on the Chevy. I just kind of I hit a point where it's going to take some money to start getting the rest of it together. And this time of year with Christmas and all that coming up, and we got some traveling to do, we try not to spend extra money on stuff. So I've got a few things to bolt on, but I'm kind of at a standstill. So this is a project I've been talking about for a couple of years, and that is cutting into this van and see what we can make out of it. So let's, I got a plan. Let's take a look at it and see what it looks like.
No, you're not bringing home another piece of junk.
All right, so you may think this might be the most boring thing ever to make a project out of, but like I've said in other videos, I've had this thing, I guess a couple of years now. I bought it for parts and pretty much scavenged what I want off of it and was using it for storage and pretty much got all the Impala parts out of it that were in there for storage. So I want to keep the content interesting and put something new on the channel other than just bolting parts on the Impala. So, and we are going to keep going on that, but we're going to start cutting on this thing. So I looked at it and looked at it, and here's what I've come up with. I really like the 1960s forward control or forward cab little trucks like the A100 Dodge. Chevy had the Corvair, Ford had a little Econoline pickup, and I think this would be cool converted into one of those. The main problem with it is when they change van design, it's really no longer a forward cab, but that's going to be the fun part. Can we turn this into a forward cab? I think I can. We're going to give it a shot. Worst case scenario is we burn up a bunch of grinding wheels and saw blades and welding wire and end up with a pile of junk that gets tossed off to the salvage yard. So hopefully not. Got a good plan in my head. So let me just show you what I'm thinking here. So since this is a Chevy, I'm going to kind of stick with the Corvair. They call it the Corvair 95 and a 95-inch wheelbase. So we're going to kind of stick with sort of this design because it is a Chevy. We're going to do our own thing. It's not going to look exactly like this, of course. This has the engine in the back. We're not going to do that. We're going to do more along the lines of the Ford and the Dodge and put the engine in between the seats. And so if you look at this picture, and that window line is the same as that van. I mean, that lean back of the window is really close. And this line coming around the front here, that's also really close. Of course, the nose is a lot shorter. But if you look, about the back of the door is about even with the wheel well there. So let's take a look over here. So you can see the wheel cutout is the door is way back. So to get this, and I don't think we're quite going to go that far. I think I'm going to go to about here. Well, no, that kind of will be that far because I'm figuring this will be along this body line. That's going to put that center of that wheel opening right there. So let's see. Tell you what, let me get my stand out here. I'm excited. I like cutting stuff up. Okay, so if I go inside and I measure another thing on these old vans, it's like if you ever drove one, when you sat in the driver's seat, the engine was like right here. So the center of the driver's seat was in the first third part of the engine block. So if I measure that out in here, let's say this is the center of the seat, and we're going to be about right. That engine's leaning back, but somewhere in there, I end up with about 31 inches. So now, so it's 31 inches that this would need to move, this tab part would need to be moved forward over the wheel. So if we go from this line, I'm at 29 inches there. So let's say 30 inches. I don't have a marker. So we go 30 inches there. That is going to put that at the center of that wheel well. And then if we go from here to here, that's 10 inches. So if we go from here, that's even too far forward. So if I go from here to the back of this wheel opening, I am at 14 inches on the grab marker. And like I said, this is going to be a lot of guessing and just kind of figuring. So we put the back of this at 14 inches. From there, that gives me 25 inches. And from here, and I go from the center to the seat, that puts me about the middle of the motor. So let's split the difference. Let's go a foot. Maybe. Now, if I want this, let's say I want that there. That's 25 inches. All right, let's do it. What the heck? We will make it work. Yep, we'll go there. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have to cut this door along this line and take this take that bottom half of the door and this inner wheel well structure. It's probably I'm gonna have to flip the bottom half of the door to that side and flip that bottom half of the door to this side. So when we move forward, I can take that other door with this cut and put that cut there. Whew, it's gonna be crazy. So when we do the overall deal is, let's get this is that right? Yes, let's get that here to the center of there. And then once we get, and I'm just gonna have to, this is a unibody, so I'm gonna kind of have to cut the floor loose from the frame. The frame will stay. The engine will stay where it's at on those mounts. If I need to, I can move the engine back, but I think it'll work good staying where it's at. And then we'll cut it down here. We'll cut it across here. And we'll take that whole cab section and we're going to slide it forward on those frame rails. Leaving this and leaving the wheel well. We'll slide it forward, then we'll shorten this nose, get that shortened. May end up chopping it. But, and then on the inside, so the floor kind of pitches up starting here. So I want to cut it behind this beam, this post on both sides, and kind of make the, you know, that a supporting part of the cab. And we'll slide that, we'll cut it right along there, just the metal, not just sheet metal, not the frame. And then I'm sure are there spot welds on these frame rails? I'll have to look underneath. Like I said, this is like a unibody frame structure. So we'll get that all the way forward. We'll cut back in here out because the engine's going to end up back in here. All this is going to go steering column, this dash. We're going to fabricate a new dash for it. So we'll cut around the wheel wells. Yeah, this is going to be crazy, man. And then we're going to shorten that, and we're going to completely redesign this front end. And if you look, this line here that I was talking about is kind of this line here. So we'll use the metal off the hood. We'll bring this line around, you know, shorten. We're going to take some out of here, and then we'll bring it up and bring it over. And we're probably going to use the Bad Chad round rod methodology. I've been watching him do this for a couple years now, so he's got me itching to give it a shot. And like I said, all this is going to be redesigned up here. I thought about doing the square headlights side by side, but I think we're going to do round headlights. And then kind of redesign the dash, do something a little more vintage looking. And then, so this thing has 130-inch wheelbase. We're going to take it down to a 95-inch wheelbase. We're going to cut this thing right in the middle and move the whole back end up to make a 95-inch wheelbase. And then we're going to cut around the sides, and we're going to make a truck bed out of this thing. So, yeah, this is going to be wild for sure. But like I said, you know, it's basically scrap. So worst case scenario is it's still scrap, and I had a good time. All right, so first thing I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull this motor out of here. I'm going to pull what's left of the dash, steering column. We'll get the brake booster off it. We'll get the old HVAC stuff out of it. Probably pull some of this stuff up here and start figuring out where we're going to make some cuts. Okay, everybody, this is episode 1. We got to think of a name for it. I don't really know what to call it yet. G20 junk, or we'll figure something out. Okay, so let me get cherry picker set up. We'll get that motor out. I think the only thing left holding that in is the motor mount bolts and exhaust cross members in there. We'll have to cut that off, and we'll get this other stuff out. We'll get everything stripped off here, and at least get these doors cut on this episode. So, all right, be back in a minute. All right, so went ahead and took the last couple bolts out of the engine. I still got a couple sitting in the motor mounts, but that's one thing handy on these vans. You can pull the motor right out the dang door, I think. Let's find out. I think we can go straight up with it because I don't have there's no tranny on it, and I cut the exhaust pipes off of it. So let's see if we can get this thing out of here. weight off it, and then I can just knock the bolts out of it. Ooh, look out. Alright, let's see if I can get them bolts out. Where's my hammer? That one's loose. That one's loose. Alright, got them out of the way. See if I can get out of here. Stuck on something. There we go. Got some water. Quite a bit of water. Come on out of there. Get it out the door or not. Or if I need to set it down and take it out the back door. Oh no. Adjust the view. Okay. All right. There we go. I don't know a whole lot about this thing. I haven't heard it run. It does turn over. So, I'll probably just put this thing on an engine stand and save it for a later project. What I'm thinking is that if I can get this shell the way I want it to, get the body looking what I want it to, man, my easiest option for a drivetrain is I got that old van just like this one that I use for a parts hauler. I might just sacrifice it, use motor drive, use a whole drivetrain wiring harness. It runs really good. Just basically, use everything off of it I need to put this together. And I mean, this could be a super, super low buck, really cool project. So that's kind of what I'm going for. All right, so I've been kind of looking at how this thing goes together, and it's kind of hard to see right now, but I'm changing my ideas a little bit about how I'm going to cut it apart. But the thoughts are coming together, so I need to get all of this junk out of the way so kind of see what's going on. So this needs to go, column needs to go, brake assembly needs to go, all the old AC crap over there. I think we're gonna go ahead and pull the grill and the bumper off, and let's get all that stuff out of the way and see what it looks like. We'll do that tomorrow. I'll get all this stuff pulled off and get a clearer view of what we got, and then come up with a plan. So, alrighty, I'll pick this back up in a little bit. All right, so that gives us a little more room to work in here. I got all this junk cut out and all the stuff out of the way. All right, so where to start here? All right, so if we look at this wheel well and how this thing is put in here, so it's got a regular full wheel well, like a regular car here. And then if you look here, so like the floor here lays over a seam, spot welds to that wheel well. And that goes around and does that. And then if we look in here, oops, I put that motor on the stand. All right, so here's your wheel well. Same thing here. There's a flange on the bottom of this panel, and you can see it goes down to here. So this is your wheel well. It keeps going under this, and then this piece lays over it. And then if we look over here, there's a seam here that goes over it. And then under here, jack stand and a jack. Always use two methods of support when you're under a car. Okay. So under here, here's your wheel well, and this is dual layer. You can see where it fits over that. So I think what I'm going to try to do is, and also in here, you see I got everything out of there. So that hump in the middle, that's all gonna go, and that's gonna be flat metal eventually, but right now I'm leaving it on there just for structural support while we're moving this thing around. So what I want to try to do is take this wheel well out, basically the wheel well and down there, the foot well, I guess you'd call it. I want all that to come out in one piece. So I could go through and drill these spot welds out, but there's probably hundreds of them. I don't probably have enough drill bits to do all that. So probably what I'm going to do is just, you know, cut it at the base, cut the flange off, and when we're putting it back together, we'll address that. And then down here, you can see there's some spot welds connect there. We'll just cut that. And then just to look at how this thing is, sorry about that light, put together here. So the cab really isn't spot welded to the floor until you get back to that post. And then it comes forward and it sits on this piece. So I should be able to slice this like here between the frame all the way back there, and then just separate that little bit of the floor from the frame, and get this whole cab section loose. So if you can kind of visualize where we're going to be, this wheel well won't be in there, that won't be in there, the floor will be supporting it. We're going to cut here behind this post, and then we're going to jog over. I'm going to cut this post, but I'm going to leave this support in there. So I'm going to cut behind that support. Over, jog over, down. Across the floor, separate spot welds underneath, and this whole cab section should be loose and should be able to slide forward. Probably won't get all. So probably won't get all that done today, but I would like to get that whole section out today. And let's just see if it's like I'm thinking. I kind of got a process in my head of where I want to go. I don't want to sit here and just talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. Let's do it. That's what I say. Okay, so let me get some grinders, saw blades, etc., set up, and we'll put this camera on a stand, and we'll do some cutting, see what we got. Okay, so we got a tape line here where we're going to cut, and got a new saw blade, new grinding wheel. So let's see what we can do here. And I'm going to use these because that noise is like really irritating. I'm going to put a slice up this way so that when I go on the inside I can get a saw blade on that. If I do it that way. I just want to see where I'm at. Now, we're going to cut this over here. What's that look like? Okay, so we are cut. Let me show you. I cut across there, cut across there, and I put a cut right there. So we're gonna go inside. I'm not sure if I'm gonna use a saw or if I'm gonna use a grinder, maybe some of both. We're gonna try to follow that line and cut that away from the body. Okay. Figure out where I can put this camera. You guys can see this. So there's our cut. I'm thinking from there, at least down into here, that Sawzall blade might be a better choice. And then we're gonna have to cut along the base of this all the way down And, no, wait a minute. No, we won't either, will we? Yes, we will. Because we want to separate. Let me think about that a little bit. All right, for right now, let's do this line. And then we'll go from there. Let me set it up and I'll turn it back on. Let's see how that is. That looks pretty good. Yeah, my kids got me this little phone stand for Christmas last year to do these videos. It's worked out pretty well. Alright, grab my stuff. I gotta go around the corner there. Let me get my grinder. Okay. Let's stop there. I don't know if you can see that. So then I want this to come with the truck. How are we gonna do that? I want this to come with the wheel well. Well, I know I gotta cut that, so let's cut that. Now I think I want to cut from there to there. Take a look. Yep, that's where we're at. Okay. It's hitting the back of the fender. I think we're separated there. I see some spot welds here. There may be a brace back there. I can feel it. Oh yeah, we're in the door jam. So if you can see here, I don't know if I'm enough light this thing or not. Might adjust. There we go. So here's a seam here and a seam here. So that's where that door jamb went together. I'm not going to want this on there. I'm going to want this probably to come straight down. So I got to figure, and I know there's a plate behind there that bolts that bottom hinge. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is just cut this straight across here. It's just something we're going to have to fix later. Or fix once we get to that point. I don't want to take the door off to cut this, because we are going to be cutting the door also. In fact, I'm going to be cutting the door. Can you see that line right there? That we're going to cut the door straight across there. So I think what we'll do is we'll just cut in this way. I said we're going to do some fixing on it later. We'll figure that out. We'll figure it all out. Okay, let me see if I can. All right, so we're going to cut that there. We're going to cut this down here, and then I think there's probably some stuff underneath we're going to have to cut. But we'll get to that. You know, if you cut it and you weren't supposed to cut it, you can always weld it back together. That's what I figured. And being as I have never done anything like this before, it's all just a huge experiment in terror. But we're gonna make it work. I got faith in myself. It's gonna work. I'm gonna try to slice that dude right there. It's kind of loose yet, but I know we got some braces underneath I'm gonna have to get. Get that blade back in there so that I can get the back of that. Post is a trick. On the other side of it, cut it. So it goes. Do not want to take that door off. I'm gonna pause this for a minute. I'm gonna pull this off because it looks like if I got that open, I can see in there what's going on. All right, so what we're gonna have to do is cut a patch out here. I took that vent off the side, and you can see in there, but there's no way to get anything in there to cut the back of that pillar. So I'm just gonna cut a patch of sheet metal out here. We'll just save it, and we'll put it back in when the time comes. what I was looking for. So there's the back of that pocket, and there is, I should be able to get a saw blade in and come this way. Yeah, that's double layer in there too, so that was definitely part of the problem. Okay. I think that went all the way through though. Sure looks like it did. Oh yeah, I can see clear through to the other side now. Okay. So. Now, gotta figure out where else we hold on. I know we got to cut the back of the footwell, so we're still holding on there. And see where else we're at. Okay, I'm gonna stop for a little bit, grab some lunch. Be back in a bit. Okay, so I just had to, I found one little part I had to snip up in here, and this came off. So that worked really well, I think. That all came off in one assembly like I was hoping. So, you know, we'll clean that up. We'll get the jagged metal off from the, you know, from the flange, from the other pieces that was on there. And you can see we got a nice open area now, and now we're going to cut this door. And I'm going to use this line here because I want to get to that line, so I might as well use that stripe. It's nice and straight. That'll just be our guideline. And then if we look in here, you can see down here, so you've got this part, this flange that goes down and hits the frame right there. We come all the way back to here before the floor is actually spot welded to the frame. So that's good. We'll just cut along that strip there, and then when we go to cut back here across there, we're only going to end up with a couple of spot welds from the frame to here, so that will be easy to do that. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead, so let's see, if I'm cutting there, I'll end up in here. All right, I won't be into the door panel, so that's good. We're going to cut that door all the way off, and then at some point I want to tack weld that door shut. just to kind of give that some good, to give it some good structure before we, cut all the way up over the top and all the way through there to move that cab. So I don't know if I'm going to do that now or not. Let's get the bottom of this door cut off, and then we'll see what we got from there. So this on here. What I'm just about out of grinding wheel. See how much I can get out of that one. I got a little bit left, not a whole lot. Well, let me get a new saw blade, and we're just going to follow that line and cut through the whole thing. Grab another blade. This blade's not very good. Alright. So, put this over here. Okay, so that is where I want to be on both sides. And if I'm right, once we get this moved forward and we get I think here to the center of this spindle and get that part secured, then that wheel well and a fabricated version of that door bottom will go on the other side. And that one will come on this side. Because our door is going to go like this and down. And the wheel well will be back here, but will all be shoved up here. So I think that's good. I think we're going to go ahead and we'll go with that. I'm going to stop that here for today. We'll clean all this up off camera. I got to get some more saw blades too. Off camera, we're going to do the exact same thing to the other side. Get it in the same position. And then we're going to figure out how we're going to make our cuts here and how we're going to make our cuts over there. Get this loosened up and see about sliding it forward. But hey, for never doing nothing like this and this being the first experiment, I'm happy with it. I can live with it. Let's see, where's that? Yeah. So the window track stops about right there. So that's as far as that window rolls down, which is good because that shouldn't interfere. Doesn't matter whether I got the dog leg over here, the dog leg over here, that window should still work the same. All right, I'm gonna clean up this mess. We're gonna throw this motor on a stand and we're gonna call it for today. Check back in just a bit. All right, there is side one. So it worked out pretty good. You know, it's didn't go exactly as I thought, but it's what I got in my head is I believe is going to work really good. I may end up go ahead and welding that door shut before we start cutting on side too. You can almost see it might have sagged a little bit, so I may have to do that. But anyway, so got everything cleaned up. There's motor over here. Like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. If it's just going to be a spare, you won't. You know, if we get to the point where this is actually going to work and we're putting a motor in it, then maybe we'll pull that thing apart and see what it looks like. Like I said, there's not much grease on the side, so I'm kind of curious to see what it looks like inside. Okay, so off camera, I'm going to do the same to the other side. And when I get that done, we'll pick up another video and we're going to whack this thing back here, across there, across the top. We're going to whack these braces underneath and see if we can get this cab loose and see about getting it in the place where it's going to go. And I know this is way thinking ahead, but I'm kind of thinking maybe bare metal on this thing. We'll have to see. That's a long way off. But, okay, so let's go inside. Let's get a word from the Lord. And we'll end it. Also, in the bottom, I need a name for this project. So I can't think of anything right offhand. So somebody can, if you got an idea, stick a name down in the comments. Okay, talk to you in a second. Hey everybody, so thanks for tuning into the video today and taking the first look at our new project. And like I said, if you got a if you got an idea for a name for this crazy thing, just stick it down in the comments and we'll let one of you guys pick it if somebody comes up with something. So so today is the day before Thanksgiving, so I thought it was appropriate to talk about giving thanks and being thankful for things. And not only being thankful when things are great and, you know, when things are going good, but when things are going tough. And Scripture says a couple of things about that. And 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, 16 and 18 says, "Rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." You got to remember, Paul didn't write, rejoice until things get tough, or pray unless you're too tired, or give thanks for the good things in life, because Paul had a rough way to go. He spent time in prison and was highly persecuted, and even the time he was in prison, he was praising God and giving thanks, and that's a pretty awesome thing. And then if we look here in Philippians 4:6, it says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." So Paul wrote the same thing in the book of Philippians, and that every situation, even the most anxiety-inducing moments, should be met with a response of thanksgiving. And so can we do that? I know we can. There's times I've prayed for things in my life, and that the answer wasn't what I expected it to be. I talked about on some other videos that one of my sisters recently passed away. A wonderful woman, very godly woman. She was diagnosed with cancer in April and died just a few months later, and I had just retired. And I prayed a lot that Lord, would you please heal her, and so she can enjoy her retirement. And God's answer was no. He didn't heal her. He didn't heal her on earth. Her healing was going home to Him. And but I'm very thankful for the life that Julie lived and the example that she set. And even though it wasn't what I wanted, that I can't pick up the phone and talk to her anymore, and I can't go over and have coffee with her. She left such a wonderful example, and we saw that at her memorial service. And sometimes God has to. There's things we do in our life that God has to discipline us for, and can we be thankful when we receive that discipline? We need to be, even though it's tough to be. And like I said, just thankful when things aren't going so good, that the Lord cares enough about us to be there and with us and to walk us through it, even when it's not what we want to be happening. So anyway, that's all I got on that today, and I just hope you all enjoy Thanksgiving with your family tomorrow. And let's keep it peaceful. Let's not talk religion and politics too much at the dinner table and get everybody fighting like my family does sometimes. That's okay. We still love each other. Let's say a quick prayer and we'll end this for today. Father, we just thank you for this season of Thanksgiving, and just ask that you would help us to enjoy our time off, enjoy the holiday, and just have a blessed time with our families and with our friends, and just to be thankful for whatever you have in store for us, whether that be a blessing or a trial, or whether that be a joy, or maybe a discipline that we may need. And we just ask this in the name of your precious Son, Jesus. Amen. All right, hit like, hit subscribe. Glad to have you all along on a new project. And leave a comment down there. And I guess that's it. So when we pick this series up again, we're going to be cutting that cab loose and seeing if we can get that thing move forward. So, all right, you all have a good Thanksgiving.